Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Let's talk about the latest speculation. There's an article from AMB Crypto titled, "Could Binance Bittrex be facilitating new XRP on-demand liquidity corridors?" Crypto Twitter speculates. Really looking forward to running through this piece with you. Now, speculation can be reasonable. I'm perfectly happy to go through this. There's a difference between reasonable speculation and hype, and this is a non-hype channel. But what's going on here, and I'll tell you this before even getting into the specifics, it's the XRP community trying to get to the truth of a particular matter. And so that part I'm totally cool with here. And furthermore, Bittrex, Bittrex obviously is already ready. I love making up words. It's so fun. Technically, all words are made up. Come on. But Bittrex is already a member of RippleNet, utilizing on-demand liquidity as a liquidity provider. They're the hub, right, in between transactions, right. And then there's Binance, and CZ, founder and CEO of Binance, has cited that they will ultimately come on board utilizing on-demand liquidity. So I'm going to run through that, and then there's a couple tweets from the XRP community I want to share with you. One XRP community member shares an opinion that Ripple shouldn't be giving away, releasing $1 billion of worth of XRP, escrowed XRP per month, and wants that to be changed. Just kind of a fun little critical thinking exercise, so I thought I'd share with you a couple different viewpoints on that. And I'll wrap up the video with this piece from CoinDesk titled, "Can Dog Fooding Altcoins Find Real Users in 2020?" And I was unfamiliar with this term dog fooding, so I had to look it up. And it's described in the piece, but I also wanted to look it up, and it's essentially defined as using your own product. But they go on to talk about how Ripple's Spring Initiative is dog fooding, and it's hopium. So, Moon Lambos, your boy Moon Lambo, you got to jump on top of that. So I'll be covering that and squashing some FUD at the end of the video. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you just so happen to be a fan of Ripple and XRP, boy, do I have a treat for you. It's called the Moon Lambo channel. Go ahead, treat yourself, girl, by subscribing to the Moon Lambo channel. It's a gosh darn reasonable thing to do. So into this first piece now. Ripple's on-demand liquidity platform has been noting a barrage of transactions, especially with the popular Mexican corridor. According to the on-demand liquidity data provider on Twitter, HMX, out of the total 108 million on-demand liquidity flow in the fourth quarter, the Mexican corridor was responsible for $100 million in transactions. Owing to the success of this corridor, Ripple had announced plans to open gateways to several other nations soon. However, Crypto Twitter has always been prompt in piecing together information and speculating on what's next. Oh, yes, Crypto Twitter is good at that. Bravo. Actually, I like that. As long as it doesn't go too far in the left field, I actually really think that's valuable. But Crypto Twitter speculated that Ripple might be working on a new corridor with the help of either Bittrex or Binance, or both. The speculation stemmed when a Twitter user who is at Hallway Monitor 2, awesome name, asked the community about the wallet address, and then they list the address there. I'm not going to read that. And here's the tweet. "Does this anonymous exchange account belong to Bittrex or Binance?" And then there's the XRP scan link right there. "It receives on-demand liquidity-like transactions from BTC markets." Now, the user noted that the address received on-demand liquidity-like transactions from BTC markets, Ripple's on-demand liquidity facilitator in Australia. After digging deeper into the wallet activators, it was found that the source address belonged to Ripple co-founder Arthur Brito, thus answering the question put forward by Twitter user Hallway Monitor 2. And I'll tell you what, there's no more person that we talk about with this level of frequency. Not that it's all the time, but there is no other person in the world of Ripple and XRP other than Arthur Brito that you talk about, but he's just shrouded in mystery. It's as if he doesn't even really exist. You can't find a picture of this man on the internet, but we'll just believe that he's real. There are XRP community members out there that have met him. They claim to have met him, so I'll take them at their word. But he's one of the co-founders of the XRP ledger, along with David Schwartz and Jed McHale. Anyway, so this did not leave Binance and Bittrex out of the picture. The user pointed out that the aforementioned address received transactions from the Australian exchange BTC markets shortly after the AUD/XRP trades. So you can see the connection there. And so Hallway Monitor 2 speculated new on-demand liquidity corridors should be opening somewhere anyways. All right, and then they show an address here. It transacted 300,000 XRP to a Binance wallet address, and then they cite the destination tag. And with Bittrex wallet, where it transacted 550,000 XRP, and then they provide the destination tag in the article. The small transfers of XRP on these exchanges could indicate a testing phase between the corridors. Bittrex already serves as an on-demand liquidity corridor in the United States. However, Binance could be a new addition to the list. And look, we already know that Binance will ultimately be a provider of on-demand liquidity. CZ has said as much. It's more a matter of time. And so if they're kind of building out this corridor right now and testing it prior to an announcement, that's perfectly reasonable, and that certainly could be the case. And so to me, it's perfectly reasonable to speculate that maybe. I'm not saying it's a matter-of-fact type thing, but I will say, unless CZ changes his mind, it's just a matter of time. And it is indeed coming down the pike here, ultimately. So the Twitter user in his recent tweet said, quote, honestly, I don't know if this is on-demand liquidity, but the MO suggests it would be. The key is to de-anonymize this account first, and then check, are they selling the arriving XRP to fiat or not? Exactly. And so it just goes back to what I always say, though, just this idea of if you're an exchange and you offer XRP and on-demand liquidity continues to receive adoption, why would you not want a piece of that? Because you just make money on the buying and selling of XRP. It's a no-brainer. It's a complete freaking no-brainer here. All right. And I think that's the gist of what I wanted to cover in this. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. So you can tell me what you think below, and as new information becomes available on this, I'll be happy to report it to you. But man, it's crazy to think the potential just global changes that are coming in terms of the way that money moves around this fine planet of ours, thanks to what Ripple is doing. Just to think how early we are on this, with just a few corridors being open to this point. And that's why when I always think about, and I don't blame people for being sour about the price right now. It's perfectly reasonable. You put your own money. Like, we all got skin in the game, and I can appreciate that. But I tell you what, I would rather be in now and risk the bit that I put in now than to have found out about this like 20 years later. So I don't know about you, but I'm happy to risk. And I also only put in money that I'm willing to lose anyway, but just my 2 cents on it. All right, next. Here's a fun little critical thinking exercise, I think. Here's a tweet from Carmine Thompson, who wrote, "We need this." And then he tagged me, along with some other XRP community members, including several other actually XRP YouTubers. But he wrote, "We need this. Petition Ripple to not drop $1 billion a month. Restructure the escrow to $1 billion every quarter. Responsible adjustment." Okay, and so I don't share this opinion, but I don't think that Carmine's being a troll. I just think this presents an opportunity to discuss further, and I'm all about diversity of thought. As long as somebody's not trolling and we can all be adults, I'm happy to have diversity of thought. That's what I always like to cite when there are differing opinions here on the Moon Lambo channel. And so let me share with you a couple tweets that followed, and then I'll share with you my thought on this. Somebody named IBIK wrote, "The fact you feel that you need to interject in Ripple's plans show you have little faith in what they are doing. I'm not concerned one bit." And then somebody named Bear Grylls Brother wrote, "Yeah, good luck with that." And then Carmine Thompson, who wrote the original tweet, responded, "Then support it. I'm not looking for luck, just responsible escrow releases that reflect current demand." And then there was a bit more of the thread, and I don't want to go into every single thing here, every single response here, but let me just share with you my 2 cents on this. Ripple is the most transparent company in all of blockchain, period. Like, period. Bar none. There's no other entity that's even close. And it's funny, if they weren't transparent like other entities, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, funny enough, right? But I suppose if there was a case to be made that Ripple should release $1 billion every quarter instead of every single month, I'd say to Carmine, you need to present to me more information, because just stating that's not enough to make me understand where you're coming from. But consider that $1 billion came out of escrow at the beginning of this month, and 1 billion was put back. Now, it doesn't mean that none were sold, because Ripple has XRP holdings that are not in escrow. It's nowhere near as much as the amount that's in escrow. And so, again, 1 billion out, and then 1 billion right back in, which also happened 2 months prior to that. And so there's not a ton being sold. And I just, my look at it, the release doesn't matter so long as they're basing the selling of XRP on market demand, meaning they look at how much volume is actually occurring, and then the amount of XRP they sell is it's in line just based on what the volume is for that period of time. And so it's in terms of the quantity of XRP, that's a moving target. In terms of percent, it's really not a moving target. It's the same amount, and they release that. And so I don't know effectively what benefit there would be if you change it from 1 billion a month to 1 billion a quarter. All you'd be doing there is, if there were some sort of tremendous run-up, and I don't think this would happen, but I'm just critically thinking through this, is if there were a huge run-up in terms of the amount of XRP needed, because really, ultimately, 100 billion XRP, it's not some crazy amount if there's truly global adoption. If there's some big spike up, notably, and it happens quickly, then there perhaps could be an opportunity where there's not enough XRP out in the ecosystem. So you could say that's good or bad. You could talk about the implications of price. I'm just thinking through this. That's all I'm doing here. But I'd be curious as to what the perceived benefit would be if you change this from 1 billion XRP a month to just every quarter. And so anyway, that's just where I'm. Just a fun thought exercise, and I'd be curious to hear everybody's thoughts on that as well. Next, here's a tweet from Michael iPinky7, who wrote, "Think, if XRP were not to be used by anyone, why would Ripple invest so many resources into it? They could have focused 100% on XCurrent. Ripple has one of the best strategies in the world. Putting 50% or more energy into a dead end would contradict this genius strategy." Oh, I firmly believe with that. I am completely in lockstep with that comment. Ripple, look, XRP is at the core of what Ripple is seeking to do, and they wouldn't even gone down the path of creating a better messaging system, which became XCurrent, and then ultimately broadly known as just RippleNet now. That wouldn't even happened if not for blockchain being invented in the first place here. Like it wouldn't even exist. And so there's tremendous opportunity by solving the settlement portion of the transactions also, which is pertaining to on-demand liquidity and XRP here. And if there weren't a tremendous opportunity, they wouldn't be doing it. And so to me, it's a rather positive sign, just the way that they invest in the ecosystem in general. I'm completely on board with that. Which kind of leads me to this next piece here from CoinDesk. Can dog-fooding altcoins find real users in 2020? Okay, let's dive in. If 2017 was the token boom and late 2018 was a crypto winter, then 2019 was the year of dogfooding, or using your own product. Throughout 2019, leaders from more than a dozen leading crypto projects told me they were distributing tokens to stimulate usage, development, and growth, which raises the question, if companies are giving away tokens away, do they have a legitimate business with organic demand? So far, it appears there's more supply than take up for many altcoins. Okay. And by the way, the term dog fooding here, I looked it up separately from this page, and it does just mean using your own product. So I don't know how this fits the definition of this little term dog fooding, but we're just going to go with it. As a reporter, I can sympathize that the crypto industry is still struggling to find a target audience beyond speculation-driven traders. In some ways, airdrops are reminiscent of how newspapers sometimes boost their circulation by dumping free copiers into the hands of commuters. Sure, they've distributed more papers, but to what gain? And I'm about to share my opinion on this. To check this out, I just got to read two more sentences here. Oh my God, this one grinds my gears a bit. It's like it's grinding the gears. The gears are getting so ground up, and the biscuits are starting to burn here. Just to list one example of token hopium announcements from 2019. Ripple's investment arm Spring gave over 1 billion XRP tokens in a bid to foster a community of creators, consumers, and strategic partners. Now, of course, what she's referencing there is Ripple Spring, giving 1 billion XRP to Coil. Now, here's an interesting distinction from what happened there compared to what she's citing here as far as other crypto projects giving out their cryptocurrency to individuals just to try and spur adoption. You know what a very important distinction is? It's that in the case of Coil, the end user isn't using the 1 billion XRP. That's substantially different than what she's talking about there, but I don't know that she knows that. This is written by Lei Kewen. Excuse me. And I get the sense from having read many of her articles over the last year or so that she's not a fan of Ripple and XRP. Using the word hopium here? Oh my gosh. So the 1 billion XRP, it's going to Coil so that a business can conduct its business. That's it. Because this business model could not exist without the blend of XRP and ILP. It's the blend of those two that makes this possible. And so you got to kind of, oil up the machine, right? And that's what's being done there. But so is there demand? Is there this or that? Well, a coil's already getting used. And the neat thing is individuals utilizing coil, they don't have to even know how it's operating behind the scenes, which is also conceptually similar to how end users can benefit from XRP as it pertains to cross-border payments without understanding that XRP is being used as a bridge currency. It's very similar conceptually. This all just works. It's not that Ripple gave out 1 billion XRP to people and said, here, go use this, find something to do with it. That's not what happened here. And so I think that the comparison is rather unfair. And, of course, Ripple's just, the kid that everyone wants to pick on, right? Well, they're actually the only adult in the room, okay? But so there you go. So they get cited here. I just think it's completely nonsensical. So I had to call that out, clarify that distinction, and say that that's a nonsensical, unfair comparison. But again, I don't suspect that she even knows that. I don't know that she looked at it from that perspective. So I just wanted to give my take on it. But that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!